Management Committee. I'm Councilmember Weezer. I've been joined by Councilmember Marquise Harris-Dawson and Councilmember Mitch Englander. We'll get this meeting started. And first on the agenda is the multiple agenda item comment cards. These are for comment cards where speakers wish to speak on more than one item. We give them the opportunity to speak at this time. We've also been joined by Councilmember Price. So going to the multiple agenda item comment cards, we have Herman.
Good late afternoon. It's about 2:45 and I'm talking on item 1, the Director of Planning, oral status report relative to the ongoing fucking development of city planning policies and the fucking work programs for fucking operations and other fucking items of interest. Item number 1. Now going to item number 2, negative fucking declaration. That's all I have to say about that. Item number 3 now with my 60 seconds is time limits for 3/27/17 on CD 4, 5, 10, and 11. Negative declaration. Fuck that. Let's go on to the next item since I have such short time. There's no reason to explain anything. See, item number 4, CD 5. Continued from 2/7/17. Mitigated negative declaration, mitigated measures, fucking monitoring programs, and fucking related California environmental quality packs, IERs, and all this fucking bullshit, represented by no other than Robert B. Lamson, to no offense. None submitted. Now going on to item number 6. I forgot it was an item 7 in front of you. But item 6, CD 3, time limit, community impact statement, none submitted. Why isn't there nothing submitted on these goddamn items? Isn't that kind of curious and curious to the beast? Yeah, I'm very curious, fucking curious. Now last item of my point on item 6 is this. For the demolition of a 2-story fucking square foot building, leave the historical fucking building alone. Go to LA City Watch and listen to the report of Daniel Gus. LA City Watch talks about the development. Oh, the little Napoleon status man throws people out of public meetings and fucking retaliates by not letting people speak their fucking mind.
Okay, next is Pepita.
Thank you. The original pig is back. So, looking at this fucking report, yes, the Director of Planning will do what he usually does. Yes on Measure S. Because this fucking thing has to be passed now. Spot zoning by people like Mitchell Englander must come to an end in this city. No more spot zoning by Dibble-Dwarf Englander. Read City Watch. He needs a timeout from his spot zoning. Yes, he's a pig. So now we have other projects. We have things like item 3. Are you really going to protect the pig fair? You mean you're going to protect pigs? No, you're going to protect no one. This is a scam. Go ahead and pass this scam. The real issue is Measure S, yes on Measure S. And then this fucking thing on item 4, Councilman Peppa Pig, a.k.a. Koretz, yes. Vote anybody but Koretz, yes. Get him out of office, he's a pig. So 2957 South Midvale Estates, aren't there enough of this kind of shit over there? Densification is too fucking big. Vote no on densification. And then CD4, David Rue, yes, Rue is siding with too many developers. I see his nice lady over here, yes, she's been talking developer trash. Vote no on developers, yes on Measure S. And most of all, a 90-day timeout with a dunce cap for one Mitchell Englander. Thank you.
That concludes our multiple agenda item comment period. For those who are new to these meetings, we allow people to speak on items not only through their First Amendment right, but also through the Ralph M. Brown Act. As people choose to express themselves and make their point, that is up to them. We have attempted to corral the vulgar language that people use, but we've been advised that legally people have the right to express themselves as they wish. So let that be that. And item number 1, report from Director of Planning Vince Bartoni. Nothing to report, so we will receive and file item number 1. We will move on consent. Item number 6. No public comment cards. Would you like to read that into the record, please?
Item 6, Councilman, this is a report.
Microphone. Speak into the microphone, please.
Sure, okay. Yes, item 6, Councilman. Turn this on. It's a report from the City Planning Commission. It's a draft ordinance relative to a vesting zone change. It involves a demo, and it's for a new mixed-use development project in CD3.
Okay, that item will approve on consent without any objections. So ordered. Item number 4, we will continue to an uncertain date at the request.
What item is that, Councilman?
4, please. Can you read that into the record?
Sure. Item 4, Councilman, this is a report from the West LA APC. It's a draft ordinance. It involves a vesting zone changes for 4 small lots in CD5.
Okay, there's been a request to continue that, so we will continue that to a date uncertain. Item number 4. Or do we have a date for that, Clerk, City Clerk? We don't, correct?
This is a time limit file. And
When is the time limit?
Council needs to act by March 8th.
Okay, so we'll see that item here before March 8th, okay? Going back to item 7. We could take that up now, please, and read that item into the record.
Councilman, item 7, it has 2 appeals on file. One of the appeals is by the project applicant. It relates to 2 conditional uses, one for alcohol on-site consumption, and the other one changes a request to change the hours of operation. This is here also on a 245 motion introduced by Councilman Ryu.
Okay. Council District 4, Representative, I just have a card that says, okay, there you are. Do you wish to speak now or after the public comments cards? Okay, that'll be great.
Duncan, Councilmember David Rue's office. Thank you, council members, for your time and attention to this important public safety issue in Council District 4. The Central Area Planning Commission improperly granted the conditional use permit for a full line of alcoholic beverages in private rooms to the applicant for the property at 4001 West 6th Street. The Commission approved this application despite strong objections from LAPD, nearby residents, community leaders. The particular operator and property have a history of municipal code violations and violent crime, including murder, assault, numerous ABC violations, including refusal to allow an inspection and operating without a license. Illegal construction and use of private rooms, including an order to comply by the Department of Building and Safety, and 4, I quote, security, parking, gratuitous female companions, and obscured karaoke windows. The location has operated as a karaoke and repeatedly failed to comply with basic legal requirements. The applicant came to the Commission with new operators, but offered no proof, such as a sublease, to ensure that the failures of the past would not be repeated. At the heart of this matter, applicants' requests for numerous private dining rooms. The private rooms at this location have been abused in the past to hide from public view illegal behavior. The Area Planning Commission granted 4 private rooms and 5 additional private rooms that are now designated as storage and office space. What restaurant would set aside 2/3 of its commercial space for dry storage and a chef's office? Many of these private rooms were illegally constructed in the first place, and an issue that was not properly reviewed by the Commission. The site is next to a residential neighborhood, and the Commission failed to address this important fact in the approval of the hours of operation. The Commission approved midnight for Sunday through Wednesday and 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. This part of CD4 should be held to the same standards we expect in Larchmont or Hancock Park or any other community in our neighborhood, in our district. The council member believes an exception here is completely unacceptable and unfair. The applicant has continually misrepresented the facts, saying one thing in public and another thing in private. We welcome a restaurant at this location, and the modified conditions of approval could ensure such a use. Our office is requesting that Charles Ye's appeal be denied and Reverend Park's appeal be granted in part with a reduction in hours to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and also the elimination of the private dining rooms. If you have any questions, let me know. We also have Officer Clark here from the LAPD to speak.
Great, thank you. We'll go ahead and go to LAPD and then go to the staff presentation on the item. Jason Clark.
I'm Officer Clark from Los Angeles Police Department, Olympic Division Vice. We're here to oppose the conditions for the CUP. Olympic is 6.2 square miles. Olympic is 6.2 square miles with 468 ABC locations. There are 59 ABC locations within a 1,000-foot radius of this location. Since 2009, we've had numerous crimes there, which include all the way from solicitation of alcohol, escorts, ADW, assault with a deadly weapon, all the way to murder. In 2013 alone, we had 8 violations at the location, including after-hour sales of alcohol. We've had multiple rapes in the back karaoke rooms. There's over-service, which leads to DUIs, and there are also, they've also failed to allow us to inspect the location. 2014, we've had multiple violations, including batteries, rapes, and again, assault with deadly weapons. We've had officers, undercover officers in the location after hours while they were serving alcohol. And when we approached the location to inspect it, to verify the alcohol sales, they locked the location and would not allow us to do our inspection and investigation. 2015 also led to multiple violations, including rape, battery, sexual assaults. After 2015, well, 2014 and on until now, there's been the business has been closed for a majority of the time, which included multiple suspensions from 2014, 2015. Los Angeles Police Department would like to oppose these hours from 11 to 11 p.m. Due to the families and residents that live in the location right next door to the area. We believe that these hours will help curb the DUIs that come out of the location and the crimes of battery and assaults that are in the location.
Thank you. Is staff here to present on this item?
Associate Zoning Administrator for the Office of Zoning Administration Condition Compliance Unit. Just a little brief history. I know you've heard some from LAPD and also from the council office, but a quick site description. The subject property is a level, irregular shaped corner parcel lot consisting of approximately 12,864 square feet, having a frontage of approximately 95 feet along the north side of 6th Street and approximately 116 feet along Manhattan Place. And the property itself is located on the northwest corner of 6th Street and Manhattan Place. The actual building on the property was built in 1941, and it includes 13 parking spaces, which are directly located east of the site. The lot is zoned C2 and R4. Currently, there's a certificate of occupancy for the established use on the site as a nightclub / karaoke. Additional history on the site is that the business was purchased by Mr. Charles Ying in September 2009. Under the prior ownership, the operation had been problematic. Records noted from LAPD and violations occurring between 2008 and 2010. Violations included frosted windows on the karaoke doors, absence of a cafe entertainment permit, smoking in a karaoke room, and maintaining dimmer lights in the rooms. During that same period of time, between 2008 and 2010, Building and Safety also issued orders to comply related to security on site, parking, gratuitous female companions, and obscure karaoke windows. In June of 2009, as stated earlier by LA Police Department officer, there was a murder on the site. November 17th of 2010, under case number ZA 2010-164 CUB-CU, the subject site was granted a conditional use permit for the sale of a full line of alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption that was in conjunction with an existing restaurant and karaoke. And it had a maximum of 11 karaoke rooms, which were permitted with restrictions. Operating hours at that time were granted from 11 a.m. until 2 a.m. daily, with no form of live entertainment that were permitted on the site at the time. Now, how we got to this point here, on May 10th of 2016, a public hearing was held in City Hall by the zoning administrator, myself, at the request of the applicant, Mr. Yoon Hee, also known as Charles Yee. The request was for a conditional use permit for the on-site sale and dispensing of a full line of alcoholic beverages, which were in conjunction with a 6,354 square foot restaurant having 13 dining rooms and 143 interior seats. The conditional use permit also was requested for the deviation on the operating hours on the commercial corner development to operate between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 a.m. daily in lieu of the restrictions of an 11 o'clock p.m. closing time. The applicant also asked that the project be found that the effects of the project be found to be exempt from the provisions of CEQA. The zoning administrator took the action of approving the CUP to allow the sale and dispensing of the full line of alcoholic beverages on site with the proposed restaurant, and approving the operating hours of 11 a.m. until 2 a.m. daily upon the terms and conditions that the business will operate as a bona fide restaurant. Conditions number 34 and 35 of the zoning administrator's approval required the applicant remove all partitions, booths, or dining rooms, and that any obstructions within the interior space of the facility that restricted, limited, or obstructed the clear view of the occupants within the space not be permitted. And there also be no enclosed rooms other than the restrooms that would be used by the patrons on site, and no private dining rooms with separate access doors would be permitted. An appeal was filed to the Central Los Angeles Area Planning Commission. The applicant, Mr. Charles Yee, appealed conditions number 13, 32, 34, and 35 of the ZA's approval. And there was also a second appeal that was filed by Mr. Peter Park, appealing the entire decision of the zoning administrator's decision, citing continued problems and a history of code violations associated with the site and the permitted use. Noting that the current operator is noting also that the current operator was changing the mode and operation of the restaurant in an attempt to obscure the intentions of operating as a karaoke establishment. At the appeal hearing on November 2nd, 2016, before the Central Area Planning Commission, the applicant introduced a new operator, Mr. Daniel Yoon. The new operator presented a proposal to operate a bona fide restaurant to include private dining rooms. The Central Area Planning Commission found that the zoning administrator did not err or abuse the authority given, and thereby instructed the zoning administrator and council office to work with the new applicant and the zoning administrator to return on November 29th of 2016 with a set of revised conditions and findings to include the modified hours of operation, which would be from 11 a.m. until 12 a.m. Saturday, excuse me, from 11 a.m. until 12 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 11 a.m. until 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, and also allowing a maximum of 4 private dining rooms ranging in size from 150 square feet to 485 square feet. Also allowing up to 5 other rooms called backup house rooms, which would be used for storage and or office space. And also requiring that all other rooms in excess of the 4 private dining rooms be removed. Also, 1 security guard to remain on the premises. At all times, the business was operating until 1 hour after closing daily. And on Fridays and Saturdays, 2 security guards to remain on the premises until from 7:30 p.m. until 1 o'clock. Until 1 hour after closing. And that was on Friday and Saturday. The applicant was also to submit a landscape plan to the council office for consideration and inclusion into the administrative case file. And as stated earlier by Council District Number 4, the request now before you is to modify the hours of operation and limit them to 11 a.m. until 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 11 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock a.m. Friday and Saturday. In addition, to modify conditions number 34 of the Area Planning Commission's determination, which required the removal or the allowance, I should say, of the 4 private dining rooms and the 5 other backup house rooms. The council office is also requesting that condition number 34 and number 35, again, of the Area Planning Commission's decision be reverted back to that of the zoning administrator's decision, which was offered on August 3rd of 2016. I'm available to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll take up the appellants and the applicants at this time. First is the applicant and also the appellants, Donna Bullock and Yoon Hee Yi. You have a total of 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Donna Bullock. I'm the attorney for Charles Ye, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Ace Plus Incorporated. This matter has been through extensive debate, through planning, through zoning, through the Department of Building and Safety, which has all approved. Excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry. This matter has been through extensive debate, and there has been a decision made which incorporates both the zoning administrator, Alita James's decision, as well as the information on at least, I think 6 hours of debate before the appeals board for the Department of the Planning Department. The point being that my client, Charles Ye, had a 20-year lease that he purchased in 2009 after all of the incidences which are reported by the police occurred. During that period of time, he operated it as a karaoke nightclub until these proceedings began, at which time it became apparent that he would have to change the use of the restaurant in order to obtain his CUP, which he did. Instead of being able to operate it in the manner as requested by the police, by councilman's office, and by planning, which is as a full-on restaurant with a full alcohol service, he sublet it to 3 new young restaurateurs who are here today. They have done an amazing job of renovating that location. They have gone through and expended significant money in changing the interior design of the space, which is extremely large, to comply with the requirements and recommendations of planning and zoning and Department of Building and Safety. Now, the councilman's office and the police are coming in with all of these statements concerning there having been an adverse criminal history. And throughout all of these proceedings, I have demanded at each one of these hearings proof that there's been any convictions, any cases opened, and I've received none. All of the information that's been provided by the police department shows that there have been citations that were never charged, no cases opened in court. That means that no convictions of any criminal violations ever took place, including the ones relating to nominal violations. But there has never been a citation or a conviction for escorts. There has never been a citation or a conviction for assault. There was a murder in 2009 on the street outside this location before my client purchased the property, purchased the master lease. It is unfair. It is a deprivation of a protected property right without due process of law to say we are taking away from you the ability to use this location because of criminal history that never occurred. Give us some proof. Give us something that shows that any of this is true when it is not. You can't just, or not you, but members of the government agencies can't just say we are going to do this, we are going to take away a property right from a legitimate businessman because of crimes that never occurred. In addition, this location has been in operation since the 1980s, over 30 years, with its hours at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the police board had originally approved a police permit with relation to this location, and the zoning administrator also approved this location, and then it went through the appeals process, and at this point we are only asking that the decision that is the product of I'd say at least 6 hearings, oh gosh, probably maybe 20 hours of debate, be allowed to stay in place, because those are the people who knew the information, who were presented with the information, got a chance to examine it all, and made a really decent decision that compromised both positions. If you would restrict the hours to 11 p.m., Mr. Ye had a previous karaoke nightclub. This is not a karaoke nightclub. It's going to be an upscale restaurant in the Koreatown district. It is not a karaoke nightclub anymore. It's changing. The sublessees are here to present information concerning the fact that this is a brand new use, and that the councilman's office and apparently the police have not bothered to come down and see what tremendous changes have been made at this location. It's time to allow this business to operate appropriately and to abide by the decisions that have been made thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Peter Park.
Okay, I do business in this place like last.
Sir, you are, you could speak for 1 minute, sir. Yoon Hee Yi, that was your representative? You have 1 minute, sir. Yes.
Okay, because of the councilman change, if the business parties change in the area, it's not fair. I didn't have any trouble with the prior councilman on the business. But after changing the councilman change, business environment has been changed totally different. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Park. Also an appellant, 5 minutes.
So I have additional evidence that I would like to present to the... Thank you. My name is Peter Park, and I represent Christian Total Ethos of California, located at Wilton and Olympic. I would like to recommend to the committee that there should be absolutely no room allowed in this building. We should limit the hours of operation from 11 to 11. There should be no alcohol license allowed. Why? Because the operators at this premise have shown in the previous, through their previous behavior, that they have no disregard, complete disregard for the law or regulations. As LAPD and other government agencies have described, there has been numerous violations and crimes going on in this building and out in the neighboring areas. Right now, the business establishment is sitting right in the middle of two large senior apartments. There's two large churches with the middle school and the kindergarten attached to it. So from the morning to the end, to the evening, there's many number of little children walk through the street right across this establishment. I have been a resident of K-Town for over 30 years. Whenever I drive by this business, in the past when it was in operation, I see sights that I don't want to see, nor do I want to see any young children or any ordinary people see in this area. Right now, it's, as I provided to you, the pictures right, one block, those are the pictures that I taken, the businesses that operates in the one block area of this establishment. There's an alcohol outlet after alcohol. There's just people just drinking and drinking, and it's time for the city to stop, let this kind of business do the business, this kind of business in Koreatown, for the families and for the children and for the community. Right now at the corner of Wilshire and Western, which is a one block from this establishment, there's already a metro station. And there's another one being established at the Manhattan and Wilshire for the extension of the red line. It's a busy street, busy area. And there's another mall called Madang, which is one of the central place where Korean Americans come with the family, children and young people and parents and seniors. It's right a half block from this place. And I don't want to see the businesses in this area, they're selling alcohols because of three hearings before, to which I attended. The owners wanted to do 4 things in this place. They wanted to have a karaoke, they wanted to have alcohol, they wanted to have a dance, they wanted to have a room. What do they add up to? I don't have to say what's going to happen inside. So I know their original intention, and I would like to ask the committee to see their original intention and give a message to these business people and to the community. The city cares about our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with public comment. All other public comment is 1 minute. Carmen Mestas, Genesis Lopez, Ernest Yoshikara, O'Hara.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Carmen Mestas. I've been a Koreatown resident for 25 years now. I currently live 2 blocks away from this establishment, and I have been very concerned about it. I was at the previous hearing and was very upset to hear that the 13 citations and unchanged floor plan were not taken into consideration when their CUP was assigned. Although the renters are new, the owner has not changed and has not done anything to prevent the happening of illicit activities. As a woman living in this neighborhood that already has an overflowing amount of alcohol licenses, this makes me worry even more about my safety. It is easy to doubt the ongoing situations and violations when you don't live in the neighborhood and just go have fun. I'm always walking by this location and don't want my safety to be more at risk. Do we need to wait for another incident to take place in order to act? I ask that they revise the floor plan again and without the private dining rooms and the conditions that were given to this location. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Genesis Lopez, and I have called Koreatown my home for the last 25 years, and my family has been in Koreatown for 40 years. I am now a resident, a mother, and a contributing member to my community. What I actually find very unfair about this whole situation is that people that are coming into our community are not doing their research about the oversaturation and overconcentration of alcohol that exists in our community. What I find unfair about the situation is that people don't do their history knowing about the Domi business that has saturated Koreatown. So why are we going to allow this business to come into place and create more issues for where there has already been issues? What I find unfair, Ms. Bullock, who was talking over here about how it's unfair for the business owner, is how he's been irresponsible with every single business that has come into place. That's what I find unfair, and how it's unfair for residents that have to deal with the repercussions of people that are irresponsible with their behavior.
Thank you. Ernest, after Ernest is Roy Lee, Austin Lee, Daniel N. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Ernie Yoshikawa. Today I speak as someone who's lived in Koreatown for 13 years, just a few blocks from the site in question, and as a manager at the Koreatown Youth and Community Center, overseeing youth programs for the past 12 years. Having lived in Koreatown through my 20s and 30s, I've seen firsthand the overservice of alcohol, drug use, prostitution, and violence in businesses like this with private entertainment rooms. Not too long ago, a similar business just a few blocks away, also with private rooms called La Défense, was shut down after numerous violations and 2 rapes. At places like this, I've been solicited for prostitution, seeing how they stay open past 2, and how they openly allow escorts to come visit private rooms. The gangs that operate these illegal activities and the businesses that provide the space and opportunity for them flourish and profit while the community bears the burden. The site in question, as you may know, has several pages of complaints from law enforcement and has been cited by LAPD's Olympic Division as placing an undue hardship on the community and city of LA resources. Let's please put an end to these practices and hold business accountable for their practices.
Thank you. Roy Lee? Austin Lee?
Hi, sorry. Just for clarification, do we get 1 minute each, or is it
Yes, 1 minute each. Yeah.
I think because we're a team, is it okay if I get 3 minutes in lieu of? So we can
No,
work
by
together?
the rules, we have applicants and appellants who have 5 minutes. All other public speakers have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. You want to start? Okay. I'll
And
try to
you are?
I am Daniel Un. I actually have additional evidence here. I don't know how many copies you guys need. Thank you. To start, I mean, if you look in, this is going to have our business plan, our proposed menu, pictures of previous establishments that I've had, and also pictures of all the stuff that we've done so far to the outside exterior. Just to address everything that's been said, I'm not here to apologize for the past actions at all. That I think Dawn and Bullock had done a great job about doing that. The big thing is we're new operators, and I have 10 years of history of operating businesses that have done very well. The most recent one was the Normie Club and the Walker Inn in Los Angeles. Previously, I was at the Varnish. Before that, in downtown. Before that, I was at PDT. I don't know what more I can present after 7 hours of hearing. I mean, the big thing is just to address everything that happened. Right, like we're new operators. We're not doing a karaoke. We don't want to do a karaoke. We've actually, tried to negotiate the fact that we're willing to break down the rooms as long as we can be flexible on the hours and bring it back to 2 a.m.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you. Roy Lee? And Austin Lee?
Hi, my name is Roy Lee. I'm one of the new operators at this location. There's not much to say within a minute, so I'm just gonna say that I know there's a lot of previous history in this place and violations which wasn't convicted, and I just wanted to say that since there's new operators, as new operators trying to do a business, young entrepreneurs trying to start a new business that's right and actually make this place a better place that does not do any illegal activities anymore. And that's the kind of mindset that we're trying to do with this new business. And I feel like the city should be helping us to start something new and help the young entrepreneurs to start their business and achieve their dreams. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Austin Lee. I'll be the executive chef for the restaurant. I just want to say I have a very hard time understanding why we're held in contempt for any convictions that were done prior at this establishment, when we ourselves have a reputation and a resume that proves throughout history that we have 0 violations of any sort. In my case, I have cooked for the former president. I've cooked for Lieutenant Governor Newsom. Also cooked for the mayor as well. With that kind of reputation, I mean, the last thing we want to do is ruin our reputation by doing anything illegal of that sort. So in that regard as well, for me, I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I'm a disabled veteran too as well. And we're trying to make a business as young entrepreneurs, and it's also my first step in owning my own business as well too. So I ask that you just kind of support this. And to make it fair, honestly, to be closing at 11 p.m., you're not giving us a fair competing chance with other businesses that already have business hours that are until 2 a.m. nearby. So I just ask that you just make a fair decision in this regard, please.
Thank you. Esther Yu? Our final speaker, Esther Yu?
17, and as a youth, I see this as a problem in our community. Charles, has proven to the community that he has not cared to manage a responsible and private property in K-Town because of the number of crimes that has happened there. And private rooms attract illegal acts. And more than 4 private rooms, I see that very unnecessary. And 6th Street is like, it's not a small street, it's very busy. And there has been a lot of like youth my age and the senior apartments. It could be a real danger if we have drunk drivers around.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? CD4, your request was to adopt the revised conditions of approval and require the restaurant operations to cease at 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 2 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Is that correct? Or,
yes.
Okay, so Friday also included 2 a.m.?
No, it's, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Okay. Okay, I see. So Friday and Saturday, 2 a.m. Okay. Okay, and just generally speaking, the new owners, they propose that they won't operate this as previously done, but now they have a whole restaurant concept. Is that?
The new operators were only introduced to us at the CAPC hearing. We have worked for literally months with this applicant and the owner to address these concerns up until the last minute. They have been adamantly opposed to the elimination of private rooms. That has always been an issue for the council member. We were willing to work on changes in hours up until this point, but after CAPC, there's been a continual misrepresentation at CAPC. The new operators said they weren't aware they could allow people under the age of 21 into their bona fide restaurant. So because of those misrepresentations and the community's concerns, our office is requesting the elimination of private rooms and the reduction of hours, specifically to address those concerns, but also to allow this business to operate as a bona fide restaurant. They have a plan approval in 18 months. If they are good operators, we'll have a chance to evaluate it at that time.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'd like to move that we grant in part and deny in part the appeals filed by Yunhee Ye, Sepulus, and Peter Park, and sustain in part the determination of the zoning administrator in prohibiting private rooms or partitions. Also, that we adopt the revised conditions of approval to include the condition requiring the restaurant operations to cease at 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and at 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. Any objections? See no objections, so ordered. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Next items, we will take up our items 2 and 3. We could take those together.
Okay. Item 2, Councilman, this has a city attorney prepare ordinance. It's to basically adopt the variation zone and also the supplemental use district for rear detached garages. Item 3, this is a CPC recommended draft ordinances for the new zones to preserve neighborhood character from R1 to the new R1 variation zones.
Okay. If we could have staff make a presentation.
Good afternoon, committee members. Craig Weber, City Planning staff. By way of refresher, item 2 involves the code amendments to create a range of new single-family zones. This committee heard this item several weeks ago and referred the matter to the city attorney for its write-up of the final ordinance. So that is what item 2 is today, is final adoption of those new single-family zones.
which then segues us to item 3, which is where are these zones being applied? So for that, we'll hand it over to Christine Saponara to provide a presentation.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Christine Saponara, Department of City Planning. The following item consists of zone change ordinances for the following communities arranged by council district. For Council District 10, we have 4, Faircrest Heights, Pigfair Village, Wilshire Vista, and Crestview, and a majority of those are being zoned to R1, R3-RG, as well as R1V3-RG. For Council District 4, we have South Hollywood, La Brea Hancock, Larchmont Heights, and all of those being rezoned to R1, R3-RG. Council District 11, we have Kentwood, Mar Vista, East Venice, and Pacific Palisades, with the majority of those going to the R1V category and R1H category. And Council District 5, we have Beverlywood, Inner Council District 5, Fairfax, and Lower Council District 5, which is consistent of Citrus Square, Comstock Hills, North Beverly Grove, North Beverlywood, and Cheviot Hills. The following ordinances include a technical change to the name of the zones as instructed by Plum on January 18, 2017. The name change assigns a numerical nomenclature to the new zones, but does not change the standards and residential floor area of the zones. There's a table in the back for the community as well as a handout. The project has a lot of moving parts, and the Planning Department wants to ensure the consistency and that the fulfillment of the intent of this project. So we've been talking to the council offices and trying to understand if any changes will be requested. We have a couple changes that we know of and we're prepared for. The Council District 10 changes are Crestview, a change of 1 block of Crestview along Pruce Road from R1, R3-RG to R1V2. Faircrest Heights, removing of a newly subdivided tract in the southern portion of the map. In Council District 11, East Venice, changing from R1V3 to R1V2. And then Council District 5, we have Crestview, an addition of CD5 area. And we have all the maps for those to accommodate those changes should you choose to do that. CD5 also has a couple of other changes that I'll let them discuss, and we can discuss that openly. Thank you. That is my presentation.
Thank you. Just to clarify, you've had what council districts proposed changes?
For Council District, all of them? Or,
Yeah, the ones you just listed now.
okay, so Council District 10, we have Crestview, a change of 1 block of Crestview along Pruce Road from R1, R3-RG to R1V2. And then for Faircrest Heights, removing a newly subdivided tract from the southern portion of the map, altogether. And then Council District 11, for East Venice, instead of the R1V3, we'll have the R1V2 zone. And then Council District 5 for Crestview, the addition of the Council District 5 bounded area for R1V2.
Okay, thank you. We will hear from our council offices at this time, Julia Duncan, and Sean Bayless, and Tricia King.
Julia Duncan, Councilmember David Rue's office. We'd like to thank the Planning Department for their work and their efforts with the Neighborhood Conservation Program. We support the code amendments creating the new R variation zones and the RG rear detached zones, specifically for our communities, South Hollywood, La Brea, Hancock, and Larchmont Heights. Our communities are incredibly excited and looking forward to their new zones, the R1, R3, RG zones. Thank you.
Okay. Have those been noted by staff? CD4? Have those been incorporated already? Okay. Sean Bayless?
Sean Bayless, Councilmember Paul Corrett's office. I certainly want to second the outstanding performance of the Planning Department on this. They have been able to achieve in the last 2 years ICOs, creation of a whole new menu of zones, the application of the zones, and I don't know about other council districts, but we can be a bit fussy from time to time in CD5. So they've done an outstanding job at working with all of us. We are certainly supportive of the zone changes in our council district that were read off. Those include Beverlywood, North Beverlywood, Cheviot Hills, Inner Council District 5, Fairfax area as R1, V2 as suggested. Additionally, we are in agreement with the Planning Department on the R1 V3 and the R1 V3 RG for the Citrus Square and Comstock Hills neighborhoods as well. Castle Heights, which adjoins a large portion of our southern portion of our council district, was not on the agenda, so is not before the committee today. However, I just want to let know that it is our intention to have R1 V2 applied to Crescent Heights, and we'll be submitting a motion to have that neighborhood brought back to Plum in short order. Also, we have two neighborhoods where we're hearing a lot of interest in what zone is going to be applied to them. We've got our Rancho Park neighborhood bounded by Wilshire and Sepulveda. Wilshire and Pico, Sepulveda to Fox Hills, and then also our Westside Village areas. The Rancho Park will need to have a map created, and Westside Village does have a map created. Neither one of those are on today's agenda, so they're not necessarily up for discussion. However, we just want to make sure that through the same motion process, after we do our own due diligence working with those communities, that should there be a change outside of BMO, that we can come back to Plum and move forward, but also recognizing we are not holding up any other aspect of this. It's paramount importance that we get the BMO, VHO, and all these other zones applied prior to March 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Keene, and then Elizabeth Garland.
Good afternoon. I guess it's my turn to third the thanks for the Planning Department staff for all of their hard work over the last couple of years. I know that planning staff has spent a considerable amount of time and effort working through some fairly complicated issues with communities throughout the city and certainly in our district. The councilman supports the recommendations that came out of Planning Commission for the Pacific Palisades, Kentwood, and Mar Vista. I do want to make a couple of quick points about East Venice. It's interesting to note that when the ICOs were originally approved for Mar Vista, Kentwood, and East Venice in our district, the primary focus was on closing the loopholes in the then existing BMO that allowed for bonus floor area above the base FAR and for exemptions that raised concerns about neighborhood compatibility. The ICO that was adopted to cover our three neighborhoods eliminated the FAR bonuses and cut down on the types of floor area that would be exempt. While there were still concerns on both sides of the issue, that the ICO went too far or that it didn't go far enough, it did appear to strike a reasonable compromise. And that's reflected in the fact that when we heard from folks in Kentwood and Mar Vista, the new zone that appeared to strike the reasonable compromise was the R1V new zone, which is now the R1V2 zone. While it was still too permissive for some and too restrictive for others, it's the new zone that most closely corresponded with the existing ICO regulations. Since the Planning Commission meeting, we've heard from a number of people in East Venice with concerns that about the recommended new zoning. Based on the calls and emails that I've received, it's almost evenly split, with about half the people commenting wanting more restrictive zoning and the other half wanting more permissive zoning. Given that there's not overwhelming consensus in either direction and that the R1V2 zone is the available option that best matches the existing rules that are in place today for our ICO neighborhoods, we are asking that your committee maintain consistency with what was recommended in our other neighborhoods and recommend R1V2 as the new zone for East Venice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I apologize, council members. Sean Bayless, Councilman Paul Kret's office. The one area I did not speak on was Crestview, which we are supportive of the CD5 portion being R1V2, and did want to acknowledge the addition of the 1800 block of Bruce as well. So just want to acknowledge that and say we're okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Elizabeth Carlin here on behalf of Council President Wesson. I want to fourth the thanks to the Planning Department for their hard work in working with our stakeholders and for all of our policymakers who have been involved in this discussion. Thank you. I'm here today to ask that we move this item forward. It's been a lot of work, and specifically in our Faircrest Heights neighborhood of our district, we have had a very divided 1700 block of Elvira Street. This is only one block where we've only had generally a tie of 48% of the people who've told us that they wanted R1, R3, RG, and 45% of the neighborhooders told us that they wanted R1 V2. Because there's no consensus and there's not an overwhelming amount of support, we're here to ask for the commission that we get regular BMO on this block only. We want to thank the planning department for their removal of the new housing tract in Faircrest Heights. We agree with that. And we ask Plum to move forward on the Faircrest Heights portion with the recommended zoning in this neighborhood, as we have 405 households represented by over 500 people who have signed in support of this matter. In our Crestview neighborhood, we ask that our zoning remain with the exception of the 1800 block of Pruce Road. This is because of the hill slope of the block and the front garages that are currently in existence on that street. The block is more consistent with the blocks that are in Council District 5, and so that is why this change was requested. In Crestview, we have 191 households that have requested the R1, R3, RG, and we want to move forward with that, with the exception of the Pruce Road block. We also want to thank and move forward with our Pickfair Village and Wilshire Vista zoning, R1, R3, RG. And we thank the committee and the department.
Thank you. Okay, now we will continue with public comment on items 2 and 3. Since these are 2 items, public speakers are allowed 2 minutes to speak. If you have made your point, you could also, we always appreciate brevity here, since we have a number of cards here. It's probably going to take over an hour to go through these cards. So, Michael Hausk, Andreas Malisk, and Betty Tank.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the committee. My name is Michael Hauske, and I live at 1739 Alvera Street in Faircrest Heights. And I've lived there for over 13 years. My 2 boys have been born in that house, and they now go to the Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies. I'm committed to this neighborhood. I'm a part of this neighborhood, and I'm not a developer. I oppose R1, R3, RG for all of Faircrest Heights, but specifically, I oppose it for the 1700 block of Elvira, because we do not, which I would like to have zoned under the BMO. We do not want to be told how to build our garages on this street. We do not want to be told how to build our second floors. I've previously submitted 23 letters of stakeholders to Councilman Wesson, the Planning Department, and this committee supporting that 1700 block of Elvira be zoned as BMO and not R1, R3, RG. One of the reasons for this is Elvira is not the same as the other blocks within Crestview Heights. One of the reasons is because we have a dead end at each end. At one end, we have a school, 2 schools, and we have multifamily residential zoning. At the other end of the street, 18th and Elvira, we have, again, multifamily residential zoning. The parking on our street is very impacted, and by forcing people to build a garage in the rear of their property, they're ensuring that people do not ever use their garage. In the 13 years I've lived on Elvira, I've never once used that garage, nor have any of my neighbors used their garages. Now, we're not going to run out and build front garages, but we want to withhold or retain the right to do so. Again, 1700 block of Elvira supports BMO zoning, not R1, R2, RG. You know what I mean.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Andy Molish, and I live in the Castle Heights area, which is South Beverlywood adjacent in Lower Council District 5. And I'd like to thank the planning staff, and I'd like to particularly thank Mr. Bayless and Councilmember Koretz for supporting R1V2, formerly known as R1V New, for our area. And that is actually aligned with the wishes of the overwhelming majority of the residents in our area. And I actually have a petition here signed by more than 250 people in our area that are requesting that we are getting R1V2. instead of the BMO, because all of them feel that BMO is too restrictive for our area, and R1B new is a very good compromise that holds marginalization in check while at the same time allowing a reasonable living area for the families. And there are a lot of different reasons why people want to have that larger area. We don't really have the time to go through that, but there is overwhelming consensus here. In addition to that petition, also the South Robertson Neighborhood Council, which is an official certified neighborhood council, supports R1B new for our area, and I've submitted the petition signatures as well as the neighborhood council statement via email yesterday to this meeting as well. And so to summarize, the residents, the neighborhood council, and our council member and his office are in favor of giving Castle Heights, South Beverlywood adjacent, the R1V2, and I kindly request that you approve this. Thank you.
Betty Tang, Bill McBlain, Robert Silverman, and Alexis Rappaport. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Betty Tang. I'm also a resident of Castle Heights / South Beverlywood adjacent area in this red area of the map here. And I just want to point out that I know it's kind of small to see, but all the blue areas around us are being proposed for R1B2, and so that's why we really appreciate it if you could include us into also the R1B2 zoning. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Sean Bayless and Council Member Koretz for supporting us on this. There's many of our neighbors who would like to be here today to speak, but of course everybody has day jobs. It's very difficult for them to come. But as one of the organizers to this petition for Castle Heights, they've expressed to us many reasons why they need a little bit more room, 0.55 instead of the proposed BMO of 0.45. You know, some people want to start a family. They just need more office space. For me personally, I really wanted to share is just that I want to bring my aging parents home and live with me as to take care of them. So I need just a little bit room. I've been planning this, so it's very this is a drop for me that now the plan is kind of, you know, messed up if you know, with switching to BMO. I don't want to send my parents to nursing homes. It's just not the Asian way to do it. So please don't force me to. And that's it. Thank you very much, and happy Valentine's Day.
Hello, my name is Bill McBlain. I also live in Castle Heights, Lower Council District 5. And if you do have access to the map of our area, you can see that we're the red. And this gerrymandering area that would be the BMO, as opposed to the 55% that our entire surrounding area is, we actually bifurcate. We cut, we're like the Mississippi River cutting right through the middle of that area, where surrounding us would all be the 55%, and yet we would be BMO. It seems quite arbitrary. 55% is not mansionization on our size of lots. It's basically the space that would allow someone to stay off the roads, not take up parking, you know, cut down a little pollution and have a home office, be able to work from home. It also, as my neighbor said, does allow space to be able to bring your family home, maybe your elderly parents. You know, the baby boomers aren't getting any younger and they're going to need someplace. So it's completely consistent with the nature of our neighborhood, that we use the same schools, the same churches, that our housing size would accommodate just those basic needs, not 8 bedrooms, no reality shows, you know, space for your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I have an exhibit for the Sergeant at Arms, if you could bring it up for you. Sure. Thank you, sir. My name is Robert Silverman. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chairman, distinguished council members. I live in Lower CD5. Thank you, city planners, as well, for your hard work. I live in Lower CD5 in the neighborhood that Mr. Bayless spoke about, which is between Wilshire Boulevard and Pico, from Sepulveda on the west and Fox Hills on the east. I request that we come back to Plum. Our neighborhood's been overlooked. We're the same as Cheviot. We're the same as Beverlywood. We're the same as Mar Vista. Our lots are the same. Our families are the same. The families that live in my neighborhood, with the children that go to the schools in the neighborhood, they're all the same, yet we've been overlooked. And we respect the decisions that have been made, but we need to be represented properly by our council member who is now working with us, and we thank Mr. Bayless for his work on that. We would like to have the same type of consideration, the same type of rights and privileges that the other areas, Cheviot and Beverlywood, Crestview, other neighborhoods are getting. It's almost a form of discrimination to our neighborhood, Mr. Chairman, that we are not able to be on the agenda for this, but we're thankful that we may be considered to be put back on the agenda for our neighborhood map to be carved out to get R1V2. Mr. Chairman, it should be noted that there is zero opposition in my neighborhood. You'll not hear anyone speaking in my neighborhood here that is against us getting R1V2. There's only support. There's been hundreds of emails and calls to Sean Bayless, petitions signed, hundreds of petitions signed, and we're very thankful and we request that Mr. Bayless bring us before Plum again to get us to carve out for R1V2. Thank you for your time. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alexis Rappaport. Okay. Terry Smigla. This is either Cheney Brown or Charles Brown. And Tammy Rosado. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Terry Smigla. I'm a homeowner in Pacific Palisades, and I would like to express my support for the proposal for the R1V1 zone in our neighborhood. I've been to many of the meetings, the public hearings, and I believe the records will show that a vast majority of Pacific Palisades residents agree with that any of the other zone types would really be far too restrictive in our area, given what our neighborhood looks like already. Already the average size home in the neighborhood exceeds pretty much any of the other zone types. It wouldn't make any sense and would really only serve to penalize homeowners like myself who own a smaller home, but we really have no plans for building bigger, but we recognize that our property values are determined by the average size home in the neighborhood, and if we are no longer allowed to build what's an average size home in the neighborhood, that would severely hurt our property values, and for a family like me, that's a big impact to lose value on our house to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, in an investment that's very important to us. So I appreciate the extensive process that's happened here and listening to us, and again, support for the R1V1 zone in our neighborhood. And again, I think I echo many of the people who couldn't be here. It is difficult in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day, but thank you in expressing my support.
Thank you. Charles Brown.
Longtime resident of South Mansfield in the La Brea Hancock neighborhood, and I'm here in support of 16, 1460, and 1470B, and urge you to vote yes to pass both measures on for City Council approval. South Mansfield between 3rd and Wilshire may be the section of the neighborhood hit most heavily by the recent spate of mansionization, with the unfortunate consequences noted in previous hearings. As expressed recently in a local newspaper, Los Angeles is one of those U.S. cities that are becoming safe haven investment havens, warping local real estate markets and making housing unaffordable for families. These McMansions are part of that market. They are more likely to become an Airbnb party house or film stage set to cover an unaffordable mortgage, as has been happening down the street. On a personal note, the large new early McMansion house next door to mine with double front garage, wide driveway cut, and multi-generational family with multiple driving age children and associated visitors demonstrates the need for more street parking, which is the reason we don't like the double wide driveways. With two recent McMansions across the street with the same garage and driveway type, the need for the rear garage requirement is incontrovertible. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Rosado, Frank Rosado, Robert Eisel.
Hi, I've lived in La Brea Hancock since 1998. I'd also like to thank City Planning and Councilman Rue's office for all of their support the last 2 years and in the future. I'm here today in favor of the new R1, R3, RG zone for La Brea, Hancock, and the other communities outlined, which I believe includes a new .43 FAR. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Frank Rosato. I live on South Mansfield in La Brea, Hancock. I want to thank City Planning, especially Phyllis Nathanson, Tom Rothman, Christine Saponaro, Councilmember Rue's office. He has been great through this entire process. I am in favor of the R1, R3, RG zone. I hear some resistance today in some of the other neighborhoods. I just want to ask that you please consider moving this forward. There is no opposition in the La Brea Hancock neighborhood. So with our ICO expiring in March and the BMO not in place yet, we really want to ask that you please move this forward so that we are protected. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Robert Eisel, Diana Eisel, Michael Lovett, Spencer Starr. Welcome.
I'm Robert Eisley, Vice President of the La Brea Hancock Homeowners Association, and I too would like to thank City Planning, Tom Rothman, Phyllis Nathanson, Christine Saponaro, and many others there, as well as Council Members Koretz, Sean Bayless, Council Member Ryu, and Julia Duncan for their work to end mansionization in Los Angeles. I'd also like to thank you, the members of Plum, for moving these measures forward today to City Council for enactment. Time is running out on the ICO. Please help us end the scourge of mansionization and the threat it poses not just to historic housing, but to affordable housing in Los Angeles. Please demonstrate to us that city government really does work for the people and not just the developers. Finally, my neighborhood, as already spoken by Frank, is unanimous nearly in its support of our new R1, R3, RG zone. Homes can still be built plenty large enough for multi-generational families with those with that zoning. So please move it forward today. Thank you very much.
Diana Eisley.
Good afternoon. I'm a 30-year resident on South Citrus in La Brea, Hancock. Thank you to the committees, City Planning and Plum, for your diligence on this matter. I'm in favor of the change to the R1, R3, RG for La Brea, Hancock. Our community has always been unanimous for this change. This sensible fine-tuning will go a long way to preserve the character of our very special neighborhood. As I have said before, we have never been against development. I do hope we can move this ahead today. As was said, this is a time-sensitive matter. Thank you.
Levitt.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Levitt, and I am a 26-year resident of Pickfair Village. I strongly support the R1 zone variation of item 2 and the R1, R3, RG change for Pickfair Village. Please do not let the developers turn our neighborhood into one of the developments you see in San Bernardino or Palmdale, where all the houses are too large for the lots and all the houses look the same. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Spencer Starr, Sharon Montrose, Meg McCall. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Spencer Starr. I'm a 12-year resident of Wilshire Vista. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the whole planning department, Tom Rothman and Christine and everybody else who's been diligently working on this and other measures for the benefit of homeowners, residents, everybody in our community. I'm in support of item 2, variations on R1 zoning, specifically for Wilshire Vista R1, R3, RG. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sharon Montrose. I was wondering if I could split my time with my neighbor, Emma, who got here too late to, to submit her speaker card.
We usually don't allow it, but we will accept her speaker card if you wish.
Okay, great.
And then,
shall I just leave it here?
The person would good. Go right ahead.
I'm Sharon Montrose. I've been a resident of Wilshire Vista for 12 years. and I'm here to support R1, R3, RG for Wilshire Vista. Also, since many of the residents of Wilshire Vista who would like to express support with all of us who are here today, who cannot be here today, for the record, I'd like to submit copies of over 60 emails that Wilshire Vista residents have already written in to support the adoption of R1, R3, RG. And also, I'd like to support item 2, R1 variation zones. If I could submit this for the record.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Tom and Christina and everybody's hard work. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Meg McComb. I am a resident of Wilshire Vista. The scale and character of homes in a neighborhood are integral to its community connections. Brute block architecture does not foster or sustain good neighborhoods. Please move forward with this R1, R3, RG variation to protect our Wilshire Vista community, the character, scale, and the quality of life. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for accepting my card. My name is Emma Jackson. I lived in the Wilshire Vista area for 40 years, and I strongly support the R1, R3, -RG. Thank you.
Thank you. Rochelle Koretz, Linda Whiting, Debbie Gagan, Steve Esmond.
Good afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day. I am supporting the item 2, the R1 variations. I'm also from Pickfair Village in CD10 in big support of our R1, R3, -RG. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you.
Hello, Linda Whiting, Council District 10, Wilshire Vista, 30 years. Item number 3, I support the R1, R3-RE in Wilshire Vista. And for item number 2, I support the R1 variation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Debbie Gahn in Pickfair Village, CD10, and I want to first thank the city planners for all your hard work. I support the R1 zone changes in item 2, and this has been a really, really long journey, and I find it pleasantly coincidental that I'm here on Valentine's Day. The one day out of the year where we take that extra step to show who we love, how much we love. And today I'm just replacing the who with a what, and that what is my neighborhood. And I am loudly and proudly am here to declare my love for Pickfair Village and support the R1, R3-RG zone, and I hope you show your love to our neighborhoods by giving us this Valentine. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Esmond, Mike Smith, Richard Blumenberg.
Hi, Steve Esmond, Castle Heights, 12 years. I am not looking to build a mansion. I do want to provide for my family. I want to give separate bedrooms for my 2 kids. I do not have a big family. I want to have a full-size kitchen. I want closets in our bedroom. I want you to please support R1V2 for Castle Heights. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name
your
is Yvonne Smith.
What is your name?
Yvonne Smith.
Okay, I called Mike Smith, but okay, did you have a card? Did you submit a card? Okay, if we could let Mike Smith speak, and in the interim, I'll look for your card. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a common last name, and with Smith, you never know and how many Mike Smiths are in the room either. So here we go. My name is Mike Smith. I live on Parnell, just north of Pico and lower CD5. My neighborhood needs and deserves the same 55% FAR being awarded in Cheviot Hills and Beverlywood. Our lot sizes, families, and needs are comparable, and so should be our rights to development and modernize our homes. This change as proposed would mean I could not build larger than a 2,533 square foot home. That is an overreaction to the 4,400 square foot mansions that were built in our neighborhood. Those in favor of the strictest enforcement of BMO site community preservation. Communities are made great not only by buildings, but by people. I spent my Sunday knocking doors to speak with my neighbors. I found them largely unaware, as I was last Thursday, and highly opposed to the density restriction. I was very surprised also by how many renters we have in our neighborhood. If this ordinance passes, there will be plenty more. Builders will not buy and modernize homes if restricted to 2,500 square feet. Families that are the backbone of our community will move elsewhere. The unintentional result is investors will buy these lower-priced homes and fill our neighborhood with renters that have little stake in our community and are just passing through. The 55% FAR is a sensible range. That is what's being given to Cheviot and Beverlywood, and that is what is deserved for the lower CD5 between Wilshire and Pico. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Richard Blumenberg,
Yes.
Fred Nabatz, Bill Danovic, and Nancy Danovic.
Hello, I'm Richard Blumenberg. I lived in the Alphabet Streets of Pacific Palisades for over 30 years, and I strongly support the R1V1 or the R1H1 for the variations for Pacific Palisades. I'm also the president of the Pacific Palisades Civic League, which reviews projects in terms of development in Track 9300, and the board has voted to also support the R1V1 and R1H1 variation. Our only questions are why other areas of Track 93 were not included, and also we'd like you to reconsider the exemption for the full 400 square feet for the covered parking.
Thank you. Welcome.
Fred Nabati. I live in CD5 between Wilshire, Pico, Fox Hills, and Sepulveda. I purchased a home top market knowing in 5 to 10 years that I can build this for my growing family and take care of my parents and work from home when needed as I get older and retire there. Current homes and sizes do not meet the standards of today's needs. When they were built, there was no computers, there was no 70-inch TVs, 2 sets of couches, every kid having their own room. The needs of today are different from the homes that were originally built in the 20s and the 30s. I ask that we not be discriminated to our neighboring pockets and have the 55% as it is all fair. The discrimination will take our values down and bring in renters and everything else like some other homeowners have said. On a last note, it is my understanding that one of the association members, Barbara Broad, might have sent to the city council a letter that 3,800 homeowners were in favor of the 45% FAR. I ask that that be audited and verified, as the many people I've spoken to in my neighborhood weren't even aware of this density that is going to be taking place. So I ask the city to also inform all neighbors of what is going on so everyone can make an informed decision and comment accordingly. Thank you for your time. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Welcome.
Bill Danovic, resident of La Brea, Hancock since 1976. I am here to thank the Planning Commission for listening to us and working very hard to accommodate our desires. Before the ICO was implanted, there must have been at least a dozen of the what we call McMansions, which basically are multi-story concrete blocks that go to the almost the edge of the property line. A lot of them are not owner-occupied, and some of them even are party houses and Airbnbs at this point, so that they have no connection with the neighborhood, which is long and established, and quite frankly is almost 100% behind the R1, R3 RG delineation. All of those McMansions were built before the ICO was in place. Since the ICO has been in place, there's been a number of houses that have been built under the regulations of the ICO, and they are certainly a vast improvement over the concrete blocks and blend very well with the neighborhood. Also, our ICO is running out at the end of March, and I would hope that you would move this along so that we don't fall under the BMO that is presently.
Thank you. Nancy Danovic, Ann Russell, Lisa Morin. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Nancy Danovic, 40-plus year resident of South Citrus Avenue, part of La Brea Hancock, and I'd like to thank Plum and our city council member, especially David Rue. You listened to us, and I believe you heard us, and sometimes in a city this size one feels insignificant and powerless, and I think you've really given us a shot in the arm that we can be heard. The McMansions we now call monster houses, and to me they are fortresses. Luckily there are only 2 on my block. They have walls, they're very tall, taller than any other houses on the block. They have walls, they have front gates, and they really separate themselves from the rest of us. Also, it appears that large families are not living in these. Multiple families, or I should say extended families, are not living in these. These are very small families, and to me, they're greedy for space. We've lived in smaller houses, we've raised our families in smaller houses, and I think it's worked out just fine. So I hope that we can move this along today. We are very grateful to all of you for your support and the R1, R3. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Ann Russell, representing the Pacific Palisades. I, too, want to join everyone in thanking the Planning Commission, all of you guys on planning, for doing so much hard work and great work. And yes, listening to all of us from all of our points of view. I want to thank you so much for the R1V1 and R1H1 designations of zoning for the Pacific Palisades. I ask only to please that the Commission reconsider the exemption for the garage and put back the 400 square foot garage exemption, and also please to go back and look at all of track 9300 and include it in the new zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Either Lisa or Liz Morin, Robert Eisel. You spoke already, correct, Robert? Yeah. 2 cards for you. Barbara Savage and Ruth Scribner. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa Morin, Pacific Palisades. Thank you all so much for all your hard work. I'm in full support of R1V1, R1H1 for Pacific Palisades, with a couple of requests, which would be our lots are very small and we cannot accommodate the garages in the rear. So we would request the 400 square foot exemption for the garages in the front, please, because we have to. Otherwise, we won't be able to park the cars. And also, track 9300 incorporates about 86% of the Palisades, and maybe only, I don't know, 18% of the Palisades is covered by the R1V1, R1H1. So we would ask that you would look to broaden the R1V1, R1H1 area to include as much of the track 9300 area as possible. And again, thank you so much for all your hard work, especially you guys over here, Christine, and your whole team. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Savage.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Savage. I'm the president of La Brea Hancock Homeowners Association. And I'd first like to thank the Planning Department, Christine Saponara, Councilman Rue, Julia Duncan, and Councilman Koretz and Sean Bayless for their tireless work on this project. It's much appreciated by the residents, especially in my neighborhood where we watch 21 McMansions go up. out of 290 homes. As a resident and homeowner builder, I am in support of the R1, R3, RG for the La Brea Hancock area. I would also like to include Citrus Avenue between 3rd and 4th Streets, which are not in our district and they're not in our language here, but they are in our neighborhood. That was the one street that was outed in the redistricting of the councils. So I noticed that that neighborhood actually has a different zoning. It's a V3. I'd like Citrus between 3rd and 4th to be included in the La Brea Hancock zoning, which was R1, R3, RG. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ruth, Brenda Foster, Sinarman Shankar, and Howard Whitkin. Welcome.
My name is Ruth Scribner, and I'm a resident of Wilshire Vista, and I'm here to support the R1, R3, RG zone. I'm very grateful that the Planning Department listened to us and acknowledged our concerns and came up with an intelligent solution to this. R1, R3, RG ensures that new development is properly integrated into our neighborhood rather than a presence that destroys the character of our neighborhood. I also support the R1 zone variation in item 2 on this agenda. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Brenda Foster, and I'm from the Wilshire Vista area. I have lived in this area from 1964 to present. I am here today to support the proposed R1, R3, RG zone for the Wilshire Vista area and the R1 zone variation in item 2 on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Cinnamon Shankar. I live on the 1800 block of Bruce Road, Council District 10. My block is unique for Crestview. We are built on a hill that gives the neighborhood its name. Our block was initially developed with large homes with many front and attached garages. I am opposed to R1, R3, RG zoning for my block. It doesn't fit the topography of 1800 Bruce. It doesn't fit the character and design choices of the original builders of the neighborhood. My neighbors want to be zoned R1 V2, and almost all have submitted letters to the city asking for the R1 V2 zoning. The neighborhood council, Soro, agrees and recommends specifically that 1800 Bruce Road be zoned R1 V2. Council President Herb Wesson and now Councilman Koretz, thank you, agree and recommend specifically that 1800 Bruce Road be zoned R1 V2. And I'd also like to thank Elizabeth Carlin from Council President Wesson's office for so much help in this matter. And I ask you to preserve the original design of our beautiful block and zone 1800 Bruce Road R1 V2. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard Whitkin, Steve Cochran, Bill Cahalan, and Marguerite Strand.
I want to thank the council and the committee for letting me be here today. I really want to thank Liz Carlin for all of her assistance. I want to thank Sean Bayless for supporting us as well. My name is Howard Whitkin. You heard this just a moment ago. I live on the 1800 block of Bruce Road in CD10 Crestview. My block is unique for Crestview. I actually live on the crest with the view that gives Crestview its name. My home is a 2-story colonial in the front, a 3-story Italianate villa with decks and porticos in the back. It is Steinkamp's original showpiece home for the neighborhood. That my house is too big to be an R1, R3, RG. That if you made my home R1, R3, RG, I could never make a change. I'm already beyond those limits. My neighbors' homes don't fit those limits. Of the 20-odd homes on our block, 9 are built with front and attached garages. We want R1 V2 zoning so that we'll fit. My home is 17 feet from my front door, elevation drop to my back door. There's no way for me to put a rear garage. There's no way for my neighbors to put a rear garage. There's no way for us to shrink our homes below that 35%, 45% threshold. That R1, R3, RG does not fit the topography of Pruce Road, R1 V2 does. That the whole purpose of this change of zoning is to preserve both the original builder's design, the character of a neighborhood, and the desires of the neighbors. Of the 18 people, there's 24 homes on my block, 4 are renters, 2 are too elderly to speak to. Of the other 18, 16 have signed letters asking you please to make us an R1 V2 zone. Our SORO has called us out by name. Our block should be V2. Our city council president has called us out. Sean Bayless has agreed. I beg you, don't abandon us. Please make us R1 V2 so we can keep our homes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to submit pictures of the front garage homes and the letter and a map showing that basically everyone on our block is signed off and please requesting the zone change. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Steve Chokran, Crestview CD5 resident and homeowner. Distinguished council members, I would like to acknowledge the great work of our planning department, Tom Rothman, Christine Sepanara, Phyllis Nathanson. We can't thank you enough. Of course, the great work of our planning deputy, Mr. Sean Bayless, who's been so receptive to the individual needs of our respective neighborhoods. And needless to say, Mr. Paul Koretz as well. I am holding 123 letters individually signed by Crestview CD5 residents. There is indeed major support in Crestview CD5 in favor of R1 V2, as you have heard from Mr. Sean Bayless. We in Beverlywood are joined as a community with the same needs and similar demographics. Like Beverlywood, our neighborhood is composed of families who need adequate homes. Realtors refer to Crestview CD5 as Beverlywood adjacent. Arbitrary delineations would fragment our community, made up of children who go to the same schools and families who frequent the same community centers. Furthermore, on January 19, 2017, the SORO, the South Robertson Neighborhood Council's full board unanimously voted to recommend the assignment of R1 V2 zoning to Crestview CD5 and its neighborhoods. We are asking that you ensure the cohesion of our community by applying R1 V2 zoning to Crestview CD5. 120 seconds really gives me a chance to slow down on the text. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Cahallan, and I live in Council District 10 at 5900 block of Airdrome. I've been in the neighborhood for 15 years, and I am here in support of R1, R3, RG zoning. I'm one of 500 people of Faircrest Heights residents who have signed a petition asking for this R1, R3, RG. The most important aspect of the zone is the rear garage, which will provide a buffer between homes, and is so important for preserving our neighborhood character and providing our residents with light, air, and especially privacy and a quality of life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marguerite Strand, Sue Beetleman, Michelle Warwick, and Stephen Bratman.
Good afternoon. My name is Marguerite Strain, and I am one of the 500-plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition asking for R1, R3, RG. I have been a resident in the area for over 30 years, and I also have a stake in the Pickfair Village area. There, too, I am hoping for R1, R3, RG. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sue Beidelman, and I live in the 1900 block of Stearns Drive, which is in Faircrest Heights.
Last year, on a couple of occasions, the City Planning Department came to our community asking what type of zoning we would like to have. And the majority of our community came to the consensus that we would like to have R1, R3, RG. We believe that it certainly allows for reasonable expansion of our homes. It accommodates the homes nicely on the lots, and it preserves the character of our community. We have heard from some members of Faircrest Heights, in particular the 1700 block of Elvira, in which the request is that you deny this. That is one block of Faircrest Heights. We do not believe that the one block should determine the outcome of your vote today. We ask that you support R1, R3, RG. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Warwick. I'm a resident of Faircrest Heights. My address is 1928 Pointview Street. I just want to say that I'm one of 500 residents who signed the petition asking for R1, R3, RG. I do ask that you adopt this zone for Faircrest Heights. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Bretman, Yvonne Smith, Tammy Gibbs, and Gerald Ragland.
Thank you all. I'm Stephen Bratman from the 1600 block of South Crescent Heights. I've lived there since 1950. I too am one of more than 500 people who signed the petition asking for R1, R3, RG. And again, want to emphasize that the essential requirement is that rear garage to provide a buffer between the houses to preserve our light, our air, our privacy, and our quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yvonne Smith, and I'm a resident of the 1800 block of Pointview Street, and I've been that resident for 36.5 years. I am also one of the 500 plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed the petition in support of R1, R3-RG. The most important aspect of this zone is the rear garage, which creates a buffer between homes. Some will argue that the rear attached garage makes it difficult to carry groceries and kids into the house. If that is a problem, a rear attached garage can be built. Therefore, I'm begging you, the members of the City Planning Department, to please respect our neighborhood's consensus and our community-oriented values. Please vote and give us and adopt the R1, R3-RG for Faircrest Heights. I thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Gibbs.
Hello, my name is Tammy Gibbs. I'm from Faircrest Heights, 1600 block of Hayworth Avenue. I am one of 500 plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition asking for R1, R3-RG. The most important aspect of this zone is the rear garage, which will provide a buffer between homes. This is so important for preserving our neighborhood character and providing our residents with light, air, privacy, and quality of life. Please adopt R1, R3-RG for Faircrest Heights. If our homes do not accommodate those in our neighborhood for garages in the front, they can go to the Inland Empire to have that, because some of us have lived there 40 plus years, and a lot of people who are wanting to change this don't live in our neighborhood. So therefore, I would appreciate it if you would adopt the R1, R3-RG for Faircrest Heights. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerald Ragland, Barbara LaCroix, Beatrice Samples, and Sydney Morrison.
Good afternoon. My name is Gerald Ragland. I live on the 1600 block of High Point Street. I've been a resident of the community for over 40 years. I'm also one of the 500-plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition asking for R1, R3-R3, RG. The city planning asked us what we wanted, and our petition shows a strong consensus for R1, R3, RG. Many neighbors have spoken to me about how important this is for our diverse community. It allows for reasonable expansion and renovations of our homes while respecting the character of our established neighborhood. Change is the only constant in this world, and to ignore it would be irresponsible. But we are not asking to stop change. We are merely trying to preserve some sense of our friendly neighborhood atmosphere. I ask that you please adopt R1, R3, RG for Faircrest Heights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Beatrice Samples. I live at 1545 South Point View Street in Fairfax Heights. Faircrest Heights, sorry. I've lived there for 45 years on a quiet, beautiful street with large lawns in front, rear garages. 3 years ago, and 3 houses away from my house, a huge McMansion was built with an underground garage which is never used. Apparently they can't get their cars down into the garage. But I'm just asking, along with the rest of the residents in the community, to preserve the quality and the integrity of our neighborhood. And I'm in support of the R131 RG zoning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Lacroix. I am a longtime resident, over 35 years, 1900 block of Crescent Heights Boulevard. I'm here today in support of the new zone for Faircrest Heights, changing it to R1, R3, RG. Thank you.
Thank you. Sydney Morrison, Tracy Considine, Emily Williams, Dean Burton or Peston.
Good afternoon. My name is Sydney Morrison. I'm a resident of Faircrest Heights in the 1400 block of Stearns. I have lived there since 1975. I would like to speak on behalf of the zoning for R1, R3, RG in light of a standard that has not been mentioned today. And I would like to talk about beauty. Beauty, of course, is in the eye of the beholder, but beauty is also a social community construct. And when it's violated, that's when that standard becomes more visible and clear to those who witness that violation. As I did, looking at a house across from me built like a monster block that denied the standard of beauty that I even recognized when I added an addition to my home in the early 90s. I recognized that to respect the integrity of that community that I found so attractive, I would build my addition, a 2-story addition, behind the original house, surrounded by trees, so that that standard of beauty that attracted me in the early 70s would not be violated. When it is violated, often people will speak with each other, but then sometimes a petition comes around that says, let's put this in policy. So I advocate that the council support this zoning so that it can maintain the beauty and the integrity of a remarkable neighborhood that's been discovered by many, many people. So I am very glad to be a member of Faircrest Heights. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Tracy Considine from the 1600 block of Faircrest Heights. I'm one of the 500 and some odd people who signed a petition asking for R1, R3, RG. City planning asked us what we want. Through forums, so many opportunities, and our community expressed a strong consensus for this zone, R1, R3, RG. We have such a vibrant, diverse, and cohesive community. Please respect our community-oriented values and adopt R1, R3, RG for Faircrest Heights, all of Faircrest Heights. Lopping off any particular block would fly in the face of this democratic process and erode our beautiful community cohesion. Please don't spot zone for a vocal individual.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Williams. I want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. It's wonderful to see you all in person. Thank you for your time today and your work on this particular project. As I said, I'm Emily Williams, and I am one of 500 plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition asking for R1, R3, RG. And I live in the 1700 block of Elvira. City planning asked us what we wanted, and our petitions show a strong consensus for the R1, R3, RG. And the petition specifically for Elvira Street will show the same. As I walked door to door on Elvira Street, many neighbors have spoken to me about how important this is for our diverse, vibrant, and cohesive community. It allows for reasonable expansion and renovation of homes while respecting the character of our established neighborhood and our street. Excluding Elvira ignores the voice of the majority of the homeowners on Elvira for an individual and ignores the democratic process. Please respect this democratic process and our community-oriented values. Adopt R1, R3, RG for all of Faircrest Heights and include Elvira. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean Emily Woodward, Lorraine Kirsten, Dr. Ana Serrano.
Excuse me. Good afternoon. My name is Dean Purton. I live on the 1600 block of High Point Street in CD10. Yet one more of the more than 500 residents of Faircrest Heights who have signed a petition asking that R1, R3, RG be adopted for our community. This is following a planning-led effort to identify community preference. I have never seen our community come together as it has in support of this issue. I continue to believe that R1, R3, RG allows for reasonable expansion and renovation of our homes while respecting the character and scale of our neighborhood. Please respect this democratic process that's been undertaken, reject any attempt at carve-out or that would otherwise weaken the zone change, and adopt R1, R3, RG. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Woodward, and I also live on the 1600 block of High Point in CD10. And I'm another of the more than 500 Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition supporting R1, R3, RG to preserve our neighborhood's character and continue to provide our residents with light, air, and privacy while still allowing reasonable expansion and renovation of the homes within the community. Please move R1, R3, RG forward for Faircrest Heights. Thanks to all involved for your efforts and for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Lorraine Kirsten. I live on the 1600 block of Pointview Street in Faircrest Heights. I helped circulate the petition in support of R1, R3, RG. We went door to door in our community, and we spoke with hundreds of our neighbors. The response was overwhelming. 519 people signed the petition. They represent 405 households. That means that 2/3 of all the R1 households in Faircrest Heights have expressed their passionate support for R1, R3, RG. Mr. Huizar, last week you were interviewed on the radio station KPCC, and you said, "We've asked our communities to let us know what they would like their neighborhoods to look like." You asked, and Faircrest Heights has answered. I urge this council to listen and to support R1, R3, RG for all of Faircrest Heights. Lopping off any block would be spot zoning and would fly in the face of this democratic process and would destroy our community cohesion. Thank you. And I will give the council our petitions for the record.
Give them to our Sergeant at Arms. Dr. Ana Serrano, Luis Serrano, Ignacio Rodriguez, Mayra Delgado.
My name is Anna Serrano, and I live on the 1600 block of Point View Street in Faircrest Heights. Along with my neighbor Lorraine, who just spoke, I spent 8 weeks speaking to neighbors on all the blocks of Faircrest Heights. And as you have heard, a majority signed our petition in support of R1, R3, RG, including homeowners who had previously erroneously signed with the opposition. They have expressed concern regarding out-of-scale building, loss of privacy, and lack of airspace and sun. Many felt they lose the diversity of the neighborhood, a treasured commodity in our community. They would also, our neighbors support a healthy economy and building sensibly and within scale to maintain proportionality that creates interesting visual experiences. Today we present you a majority of signatures from a majority of residents and residences on all blocks of Faircrest Heights. Neighbors have made their voices heard through a democratic means, and as we hand these to you, we put our faith in the city government and this committee and implore you to respect the will of the people. I want to also express my shock in the proposal to break up our community and want you to know that they are many of the people we spoke with, and we expect them to be part of our community. We are a cohesive unit. We do not want to be broken.
Good afternoon. My name is Luis Serrano, and I'm in support of the same numbers, R1, R3, RG. I'm completely against the idea of splitting a community that is shown that has a majority favoring keeping a sensible way of growing in the city. The newcomers bring set of issues of needs. Obviously, those needs were assessed in the hopes that they would profit from buying into a lot that was probably considered cheap in relationship to the other communities that they couldn't buy into, and they now want to alter it. I urge you to respect the old-timers. Why is the need of the newcomer supersede the people who have residence there over 30 years? We will lose privacy because we have these monsters looming over our backyards. I have neighbors who play their radios loud as it is right now, let alone when you have a wall that's only 6 or 8 feet away from you. Again, R1, R3, RG is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Myra Delgado from the 1700 block on Hayworth Avenue. I've been a resident for 30 plus years. I'm one of the 500 plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed for R1, R3, RG petition. Why? Because it allows for a reasonable expansion and renovations, which are okay. You know, we all can do that. We have the right to do it. So it allows for that in our homes while preserving and respecting the character of our beloved neighborhood. Please consider us all and adopt R1, R3, RG zone for Faircrest Heights. Thank you very much for your consideration, and happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Maxine Marks, Lauren Gans, Michael Stewart, Denner, Philip Messina, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Maxine Marks, and for the past 25 years, I have been a resident of the North Beverlywood community. I have submitted 322 petitions, which were gathered and signed by residents of the North Beverlywood community. These petitions state our desire and request to be acknowledged as one in the same community with the same needs and the same demographics of Beverlywood. These petitions were signed with the understanding that the compromise of a 200-foot front garage exemption would apply. Additionally, our neighborhood council, SORO, voted unanimously to support the application of R1V2 to include North and South Beverlywood and Crestview CD5 to ensure the continuity and cohesion of our entire community. We are asking that you recognize us as one community with the same needs, the same demographics, and the same desire to maintain the cohesion and continuity of our community and apply the R1V2 zone to the North Beverlywood adjacent community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Gans. I live in North Beverlywood. My neighborhood and Beverlywood are one and the same. Same schools, community centers, and places of worship. In fact, half of my block is in Beverlywood, and the other half, my half, is in North Beverlywood. We are concerned that any limitation imposed on our property will affect our property value as compared to our immediate neighbors. Our property should not be subject to restrictions that are not shared by the neighboring communities. My family has 3 children, and my husband and I often work from home. Our house was built in the 50s and is small and dated. And while we do not want a mansion, we do require additional space to meet the needs of our family in the 21st century. There is overwhelming support for R1V2 in North Beverlywood. Over 320 signatures have been sent to Council Member Paul Koretz and others in support thereof. Notably, when these signatures were collected, R1V2, formerly R1V-New, included the hard-fought compromise that only 200 feet of a front garage would count towards square footage. We understand that there may be a proposal soon to change that as part of a change to the BMO. We strongly urge you not to change the BMO in that respect because it will impact R1V2, or to alternatively provide a carve-out for garage square footage as part of R1V2. We live in a neighborhood where many of the original houses were built with garages in the front, and they do not change the character of our neighborhood. Additionally, since covered parking was required, those of us who have no choice but to keep the garage in the front, such as myself, based on the way the house was originally built, should not be penalized. Rear garages actually mean cars on the street, and that ruins the character of our neighborhood much more than anything else. In summary, North Beverlywood should be zoned R1V2, and no more than 200 square feet of front garage should count towards the square footage. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Stoyer, and I'm a homeowner in Castle Heights, also known as South Beverlywood adjacent. I wanted to thank Sean Bayless and Councilmember Kortz's office for their announcement today that they will be submitting a proposal to the committee to zone Castle Heights as R1V2. A lot of my neighbors are here today. I think I counted 5 or 6 Castle Heights speakers before me, and they've already spoken up in support of R1V2 and expressed all the reasons why it is the only equitable zoning for our neighborhoods. All our surrounding neighborhoods are getting R1V2, and we are simply asking for equal treatment. This request is supported by the hundreds of neighborhood residents who have signed a petition that was submitted to Councilmember Kortz's office. I too would like to express my vocal support for R1V2 for Castle Heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Philip Messina, Frederick Paul, Joel Serafin, Ellison Saunders.
Hello, my name is Philip Messina. I've been living in the La Brea, Hancock area since 1983. I want to thank Plum members, City Council, and City Planning for your efforts to help remedy the problem of McMansionization and keeping our areas in a traditional form and keeping our neighborhoods beautiful. Along with all of my neighbors, I strongly support R1, R3, RG, and thank you so much for your efforts, and happy Valentine's Day.
Hello, I'm Frederick Pohl. I live on Citrus Avenue in the La Brea, Hancock area. I'm here to express my support for including our area in the R1, R3, RG zone, and to encourage you to pass this today. We do have a temporary control ordinance that is going to run out in March, and I hope that you will take care of this quickly. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Serafin, and I live in Pickfair Village, and I'm here to speak as both a resident and design professional. I wanted to counterpoint, or rather counter-argue a couple of the points and allay some of the fears of residents who fear that they will not have enough room to expand their homes. There is a brand new development of 60 homes in Faircrest Heights, which is adjacent to Pickfair Village. These homes are called the Faircrest, and many of the residents in the area have probably seen them. They range in square footage from 2,500, the smallest model, to 2,900 square feet max. They're equipped with all of today's amenities, 4 bedrooms, 3 to 3.5 baths, separate home office, large family room, open living room, dining room, et cetera, at least 10 to 12 rooms per residence, and they've been able to fit that in anywhere from 2,500 to 2,900 square feet. 0.45 FAR on an average 6,000 square foot lot allows you to build before bonuses in the vicinity of 2,500 square feet. So I defer to the planners to check my math and validate that I don't believe there's a major impact to people adding onto their homes, especially when the existing homes are in the vicinity of 2,000 square feet. If you added 50% of your home, you're still at 3,000, close to the FAR. And the last point is on the RG issue, front garage versus rear. Front garage requires a double-wide parking space and apron cut. It eliminates one of the street parking spaces. With a rear garage, it's a single-wide driveway, enables 2 cars to be parked in front of the house. So a 2-car front garage allows you to park 2 cars in the garage, 2 in front, total 4, 1 on the street, 5. A rear garage allows you to park 2 on the street, 2 in the garage, that's 4. Plus, you can stack at least 3 to 4, which means you've got more parking when you have guests. And that's logically, what I find to have a problem with when people are speaking without doing the math. Thanks.
Thank you. Ellison Saunders, Brooke Dillman, and Jacqueline Glazer.
Thank you. My name is Allison Saunders. I'm a resident and of the California Country Club Homes Association, which is a portion of Cheviot Hills. We're inner CD5. I am the president of the board of our HOA, and I also serve on our architecture committee. I appreciate the efforts of Councilmember Koretz and Sean Bayless working with
all the communities in our area to recommend R1V2. However, for our little pocket, and I certainly understand the challenge of carving out pockets, our CCNRs have been in effect for over 60 years. Our architectural committee works extremely hard and diligently at enforcing them. We've never had a McMansion problem because of that. We do have new families coming in with new 21st century challenges, and growing families and multi-generational families, and their needs and our efforts to maintain the beauty, the size, the setbacks, the stepbacks, and the open nature of our community have worked together beautifully. And although we do have some residents who would like to preserve the mid-century character of our neighborhood, the overwhelming majority are in favor of preserving our CCNRs. So the problem is R1V2 is more restrictive than our CCNRs, which have always been more restrictive than the city's zoning requirements. So we would like R1V1 only because our CCNRs would still be more restrictive, and we could, rather than eviscerate all of our work and efforts over the years, we would be able to still enforce those CCNRs and building guidelines. The other concern is that we are in a very desirable area. We're located right off the 10 freeway, and I'm concerned about the effect of creating a bifurcated value system of the before and after ability to develop homes. Thank you.
Welcome.
My name is Brooke Dillman, and I'm from the 1600 block of Point View in Faircrest Heights. I've lived there for a little over 15 years, and I love it. And I'm another one of the 500 plus Faircrest Heights residents who signed a petition asking for R1, R3, RG. It allows for reasonable expansion and renovations of our homes while respecting the character of our established neighborhood. Please adopt R1, R3, RG. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we only have about an hour left of public comment. Nobody laughed or complained. Okay, no, that was our last. That was our last speaker. Everyone's so serious on Valentine's Day, huh? Okay, there you go. Thank you, Marquise, for that sympathy laugh you gave me there. That concludes our public comment, and just want to, before we start questions, mention that 2 weeks ago we made great strides towards requiring that we regularly and more frequently update our community plans, and we are well on our way to reforming LA's outdated plans so that our system will foster development that protects and enhances our city. Those plans will now be updated every 6 years. In the same effort, today's action helps further define those protections by putting mansionization in check. The code amendment addresses oversized and out-of-character development in the most predominant residential land use in the city or single-family neighborhoods. We are applying the latest zoning tools our department has to offer to 20 different neighborhoods, and I want to thank the planning staff for their tremendous work. Whenever public comment comes and is able to name you by name, that shows that you were out there doing a lot of hard work in getting these plans before committee and council. Before we go on, I do want to ask the city attorney to clarify something. My staff tells me we will have to consolidate this ordinance with the BMO, BHO. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. So the intent of the planning department when they first drafted these ordinances and took them to CPC was that the BMO, BHO would be passed first, and then this would further amend that ordinance. However, after we reviewed it and discussed it with the planning department, we agreed that they should move forward together because together and along with these zone changes, they replace the ICOs. Okay. In doing so, we're amending the same code section, so it's going to be very confusing to the publisher if we don't consolidate them because they won't realize that one is supposed to amend the other, which amends the code.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And some of the council offices made some recommendations at the beginning of the meeting. Those are incorporated in the plan already, correct?
I can add some clarity to that.
Sure.
The answer is yes and no. So if you'd like, I can walk through what some of the changes that were requested are and what's on the table and available for Plum to take action on versus
Yes,
what
if
would
you
need
could,
be
just to
deferred.
be clear for all of us.
Okay,
Yes.
so maybe just to frame the discussion, we're looking at a total of 21 neighborhoods, and the good news is the vast majority of those are ready to go today pending plum action. So there were a few requests made. Starting with Crestview, there was a request to change a single block on Bruce Road to R1V2. We're agreeable to that. We understand that the topography issues on that particular block are unique to the rest of the Crestview neighborhood. And then there was also a request for Crestview to expand and include the CD5 blocks, and those had previously been considered by Planning Commission and could also move forward today. And those would be with an R1V2 zone.
So those two you feel could move forward today as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
Another change that was requested was to revise the zoning from R1V3 to R1V2 for the East Venice neighborhood by Council District 11. That is something that Plum could also take action on today.
Okay.
And then lastly, we heard a lot from the stakeholders in Faircrest Heights. So there was a request to omit one of the blocks on Elvira Street from the overall zoning, which would change everything to R1, R3, RG. So we have
what
some
neighborhood was that again? Sorry.
I beg your pardon?
What neighborhood was that?
So that was in Faircrest Heights,
Faircrest Heights,
where there was a great deal of consensus on R1, R3, RG, trying to preserve a general single-family aesthetic with rear garages. So the request was to remove a single block of Elvira Street. I would defer to the judgment of the committee, though I think that a lot of arguments for and against, but primarily against, were made by a majority of the stakeholders here today.
And what council district's that?
That's in Council District 10.
Okay.
So other requests that have been made were to also look at zoning in neighborhoods including Westside Village, Castle Heights, and am I missing anybody? Rancho Park. These are all neighborhoods that were included in the larger, what was originally deemed lower CD5, which was a vast area of Council District 5 that was then fragmented and smaller neighborhoods were brought forward. So while the Planning Commission did consider the entirety of lower Council District 5, only smaller portions were given a determination and sent forward. So there's an opportunity for the council to motion that these additional neighborhoods be brought forward. We're able to move forward with that pretty swiftly. The good news is those have all been analyzed from a CEQA standpoint, so it really is a matter of just the proper bureaucracy and a motion, and we could bring those ordinances forward in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I think beyond that, there were some requests to, again, look at the garage square footage exemption. I just want to remind the committee that the BMO, BHO ordinance that's before the committee today is the final ordinance following the city's write-up of form and legality. So this is, we've aired the garage issue extensively. I think that the committee made somewhat of a decisive judgment on that and instructed the city attorney to write up the ordinance. So I'd like to believe that we could move forward with the ordinance as it's written in that respect.
Great, thank you. On CD10, if I could ask on the Elvira Street, your request, I know you mentioned it in the beginning, but just to refresh our memories.
Yes, at the beginning of our public comments, we did request that that block be removed.
Okay.
But in light of the comments that have come from our community and the overwhelming 500 letters of support and human beings in our district, we're concerned and we would not want to do spot zoning.
Okay.
So I would like to hear from the planning department on their recommendation on how we should proceed. But we do have these concerns.
I would suggest that we could leave as is for now, and then there's still opportunities to come back and before council, unless you have a recommendation.
So the Faircrest Heights neighborhood is a fairly cohesive neighborhood developed around a single building period. There's great similarity in architecture. So the recommendation and the consensus that we heard from the community was to zone it R1, R3, RG. So this is the zone that requires a garage in the back and that allows for expansion of homes and second stories, but that would push additions of that nature toward the rear of the property. So The ordinance that's on the table for Plum to act on would zone the entirety of Faircrest Heights R1, R3, RG. We do feel that that's an appropriate recommendation for the neighborhood, given the input, given our understanding of what the neighborhood is. So we would recommend that the committee move forward with that recommendation. While I still do have your attention, Christine reminds me that I missed one change on Faircrest Heights, which was to omit the southernmost recently re-subdivided portion of Faircrest Heights. I think one of our speakers described the recent subdivision and development that has taken place there. So it's something of an anomaly unto itself, and it doesn't really make sense to include in the R1, R3, RG. It would just defer to the existing zoning in that case.
So you're recommending that we leave the ordinance as is, or change that?
So we're recommending that we leave Faircrest Heights as is, with the exception of removing the southernmost, and we have maps prepared to, so forgive my inability to capture the description, but it's a recent re-subdivision at the southernmost end of Faircrest Heights, that would be omitted.
All right, so let's do this. Let's, on item 2, move that we request the city attorney to consolidate the R1 variation zone ordinance with BMO BHO. On item 3, if we could go through this one more time, just to be clear, we're adopting the report and ordinance. Yes. Including those 2 recommendations on Crestview, brought forward by CD5. The East Venice item, and also removing the southwest area of Faircrest. Was that south area of Faircrest, and we're leaving intact the Elvira suggestion. On the lower CD5 items, we asked that CD5 bring back a motion on those items, since planning hasn't had an opportunity to thoroughly evaluate those. Okay. Did I miss anything? And was that it?
Councilman, I think that's exactly it.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll make that into a motion on item 3 as well. So, any questions or comments? All right, so we'll approve those motions on item 2 and 3 without objection.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your hard work on this. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to item number 5. Can we read that into the record, please?
Sure. Item 5, Councilman, this is a report from the South Valley APC. It's a zone change ordinance and a building line removal ordinance for a 14-unit multifamily apartment building.
Is planning staff here on this item? Welcome. And for those of you in the audience, if you could keep your comments down, please, or take the comments outside. We have one more item to get through here in this meeting, and the voices carry in these chambers. Thank you.
Hi, we'll keep this brief. The site is, my name is Valentina Knox-Jones from the Planning Department, joined by
Tom Glick from the Planning Department.
The site is 18535 Burbank Boulevard. It's located in Tarzana. The project is rather modest. It's a 9-unit apartment building. The zone is currently R1. They are doing a zone change to TQR3-1, which is consistent with the land use, which is medium residential. They're also asking for a building line removal. The project was originally approved by the South Valley APC as 14 units, and there was a change to the project description prompted by the applicant to be 9 units. Planning Department has submitted revised Q conditions and findings, which are consistent with 9 units.
Okay. Welcome. We'll call up the applicant, Richard Moss.
Good afternoon.
council members. Richard Moss, the applicant. I just wanted to very quickly indicate that to confirm the change from 14 units to 9 units, and also to note that one of the T conditions under number 1, there's an alleyway that we would like to have removed, and I believe that the aide for Councilmember Blumenfield will discuss that in more detail.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Pennington from CD3, welcome.
Evening, council members. Thank you. Andrew Pennington with Councilmember Blumenfield's office. I'll make this brief. We have no objections to the change to the project, the reduction, and we are in support of removing the alley turnaround requirement. Otherwise, I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Any questions? So if we move to adopt the CEQA findings and report from South Valley APC and approve the ordinances for zone change and building line removal with the proposed changes introduced by the applicant and requested by Council District 3, which is to reduce from 14 to 9, and also the turnabout. Any objections? You're standing up. Are you objecting? You stood up. I didn't know. Maybe you're going to object or you're stretching. No objections. So ordered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. We have one more item, which is general public comment. Herman. Herman here? Not here. Pepita. Pepita not here. Brian Handy. Welcome, sir.
I apologize for coughing earlier. That's what I do. Sorry. Okay, great. First of all, I just want to say thanks for letting me come up here. I was here last week, and I want to applaud you guys for just sticking through that long time. It was long. I was here with you, and I applaud you guys for that. I'm here in regards to an item called the unapproved dwelling unit that has been kind of circulating through LA for a while now. And I went online, I looked up the notes and everything. It appears that it's ready to go. And as you know, it basically it helps with it puts basically thousands of units back on the renters block for people to use, affordable. Point being is, I won't take up too much time, but I'm under the impression that it may or may not be heard this month. And I just want to encourage you all to hear it and also hopefully to vote yes on it, because it doesn't seem like it's easy to go at this point. So I'm in Council District 10, Herb Wesson's office. So I just want to thank you for your time. And again, please schedule the unapproved dwelling unit for the schedule. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we are scheduling that fairly soon. Yes, we are scheduling that fairly soon. Should come soon. Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Thank you. Any other items on the agenda, Mr.
No, Councilman.
Roberto?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, sir. That was very nicely said. This meeting is adjourned. And go Bears, Mr. Mejia.